In the heart of a dense forest, shrouded in mist and whispered tales of the past, there stood an ancient temple. Its weathered stone walls bore witness to centuries of reverence, and reverence turned to dread. Once a sanctuary for those seeking solace and divine intervention, it had long been abandoned by the living, for the dead held sway within its hallowed halls. Legend whispered of a curse that befell the temple, a curse woven from the anguish of souls denied peace in the afterlife. It was said that the spirits of those who perished unjustly within its confines lingered, trapped between the realms of the living and the dead, consumed by rage and sorrow. Few dared to venture near the temple, for those who did spoke of eerie whispers that echoed through the trees, of ghostly apparitions that prowled the grounds with ethereal malice. Yet, despite the warnings, there were always those who sought to challenge the darkness that cloaked the ancient temple. One such soul was Amara, a young woman whose heart burned with a fierce determination to uncover the truth behind the temple's curse. Ignoring the warnings of villagers and travelers alike, she embarked on a perilous journey through the forest, guided by nothing but her unwavering resolve. As she approached the temple, a chill wind whispered through the trees, sending shivers down her spine. Undeterred, she pushed forward, her footsteps echoing off the moss-covered stones that littered the path. The temple loomed before her, a shadowy silhouette against the backdrop of the moonlit sky. With each step she took, the air grew heavy with anticipation, as though the very spirits of the forest held their breath in anticipation of her arrival. Amara paused at the temple's entrance, her heart pounding in her chest as she braced herself for what lay beyond. Stepping across the threshold, she was enveloped in darkness, the only sound the faint echo of her own heartbeat. She lit a torch, its flickering flame casting long shadows that danced across the ancient walls. As she ventured deeper into the temple, she could feel the weight of centuries pressing down upon her, the air thick with the despair of those who had come before. Suddenly, a voice pierced the silence, cold and otherworldly. "Who dares trespass upon this sacred ground?" It hissed, sending a shiver down Amara's spine. She turned to face the source of the voice, her torch illuminating the figure of a spectral being, its form twisted and distorted by the veil of eternity. "I seek answers," she replied, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her heart. "I seek to uncover the truth behind the curse that plagues this temple." The spirit regarded her with hollow eyes, its gaze piercing through her very soul. "You seek that which cannot be undone," it whispered, its voice a haunting melody that echoed through the chamber. "The curse that binds us is as ancient as time itself, woven from the pain and suffering of those who met their end within these walls." "But why?" Amara pressed, her curiosity overriding her fear. What transgressions led to such a fate? The spirit's form flickered, its features contorting in anguish. Long ago, this temple was a place of worship and sanctuary, a beacon of hope in a world consumed by darkness. But as time passed, greed and corruption took root within its walls, twisting the hearts of those who dwelled within. "It was here that an unspeakable act was committed," the spirit continued, its voice trembling with rage. "An innocent soul was sacrificed in the name of power and greed, its blood staining the very stones upon which you now stand." Amara's breath caught in her throat as she listened to the spirit's tale, her mind reeling with the implications of its words. "And so the curse was born," she whispered, the weight of the revelation pressing down upon her like a leaden shroud. "The curse that binds us to this earthly realm, doomed to wander for all eternity," the spirit confirmed, its voice heavy with resignation. "But there is yet a glimmer of hope, a chance for redemption amidst the darkness that consumes us." "What must I do?" Amara asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. The spirit's form wavered, its ethereal presence fading with each passing moment. "You must break the cycle," it replied, its voice fading into the void. "You must find the one who holds the key to our salvation, the one who can unlock the secrets of the past and set us free." And with that final, cryptic message, the spirit vanished into the darkness, leaving Amara alone in the temple's depths, her mind awash with questions and uncertainty. But one thing was certain, she would not rest until she had unraveled the mystery of the temple's curse, no matter the cost. For the spirits that dwelled within its walls were not the only ones haunted by the specter of the past, and until the truth was revealed, none would know peace. As Amara stood in the heart of the temple, her resolve solidified like steel in the face of uncertainty. The spirit's cryptic message echoed in her mind, urging her onward on her quest for answers and redemption. But the task ahead seemed daunting, the path obscured by shadows of doubt and fear. Gripping her torch tightly, Amara pressed forward, her footsteps echoing through the labyrinthine corridors of the temple. With each step, she felt the weight of the spirit's sorrow pressing down upon her, their silent pleas for release echoing in her ears. As she ventured deeper into the temple's depths, she came upon a chamber bathed in an eerie blue light, its walls adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to pulse with ancient energy. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, upon which rested a single, ornate key. Instinctively, Amara reached out to grasp the key, her fingers trembling as they closed around its cold metal surface. As she did, a voice whispered in her mind, faint yet unmistakable, "Find the one who seeks the truth, for they alone hold the power to break the curse that binds us." With a sense of purpose burning within her, Amara pocketed the key and pressed on, her heart ablaze with determination. She knew that her journey was far from over, that the true challenge lay in unraveling the mysteries of the past and forging a path to redemption. But as she delved deeper into the temple's ancient secrets, she could not shake the feeling that she was being watched, that unseen eyes followed her every move with silent anticipation. And as the shadows closed in around her, Amara knew that the darkness that lurked within the temple's walls was far from vanquished, for the spirits that dwelled within were restless, their thirst for vengeance unquenched. And until the curse that bound them was broken, they would continue to haunt the temple's halls, their tormented souls crying out for release. With a steely resolve, Amara vowed to confront the darkness head-on, to unearth the truth that lay hidden within the temple's ancient walls. For only then would the spirits find peace, and only then would the curse be lifted, allowing the light of hope to once again shine upon the temple of the damned. But little did she know that forces far darker and more sinister than she could imagine lurked in the shadows, waiting to ensnare her in a web of deceit and betrayal. And as she ventured deeper into the heart of the temple, she would soon discover that some secrets were better left buried, and that the price of redemption might be higher than she ever dared to imagine. As Amara delved deeper into the temple's mysteries, she couldn't shake the feeling that something ancient and malevolent watched her every move. Shadows seemed to dance at the periphery of her torch's light, and whispers brushed against the edges of her consciousness like ghostly fingers. But despite the encroaching darkness, Amara pressed on, driven by a relentless determination to uncover the truth and break the curse that held the temple in its grip. With each passing moment, the air grew heavier, laden with the weight of centuries-old secrets and unspeakable horrors. In her search for answers, Amara stumbled upon a hidden chamber concealed behind a crumbling wall. Within its confines lay a collection of ancient artifacts, their surfaces etched with runes of power long forgotten. Among them, she discovered a weathered tome bound in cracked leather, its pages yellowed with age. With trembling hands, Amara opened the tome, its words whispering secrets of a time long past. It spoke of dark rituals and forbidden magic, of a power-hungry priest who sought to harness the forces of the beyond for his own twisted ends. As she read on, a sense of dread settled over her like a suffocating shroud. The priest's experiments had unleashed a darkness that consumed everything it touched, twisting the souls of the innocent into tormented shades doomed to wander the temple's halls for eternity. But the tome held more than just tales of despair. It also spoke of a prophecy foretold by the ancients, of a chosen one destined to break the curse and restore balance to the world. Could it be that Amara herself was the key to unlocking the temple's secrets and setting its restless spirits free? With newfound determination, Amara vowed to fulfill her destiny, to confront the darkness that lurked within the temple's depths and bring an end to its reign of terror. But as she turned to leave the chamber, a cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing her torch and plunging her into darkness. In the blackness, Amara could sense something stirring, something ancient and malevolent that hungered for her soul. And as she stood alone in the depths of the temple, she realized that her journey was far from over, and that the true test of her courage had only just begun. For the darkness that lurked within the temple's walls was not content to remain hidden any longer, and it would stop at nothing to claim Amara as its own. And as she prepared to face the horrors that awaited her, she knew that the fate of not only herself but the entire world rested in her hands. As Amara stood in the darkness, her heart racing with fear and anticipation, she felt a presence looming over her, a presence that seemed to radiate malevolence. The air grew thick with tension, as though the very walls of the temple were closing in around her, suffocating her with their oppressive weight. With a trembling hand, Amara reached into her pocket, her fingers closing around the key she had retrieved from the temple's depths. It was a frail anchor in the sea of darkness that threatened to engulf her, but it was all she had to guide her through the labyrinth of shadows. As she navigated the twisting corridors of the temple, each step forward felt like a descent into madness. Whispers echoed in the darkness, their words twisted and incomprehensible, yet somehow filled with an unmistakable sense of malice. But Amara refused to succumb to despair. With every ounce of her will, she pushed forward, driven by a determination to confront the darkness that lurked within the temple's depths and emerge victorious. Suddenly, she came upon a chamber bathed in an eerie green light, its walls adorned with ancient symbols that seemed to writhe and twist like serpents. At the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, upon which rested a pedestal, upon which rested a pedestal, upon which rested a. Amara blinked, her mind reeling with confusion. It was as though reality itself had been twisted and distorted, leaving her adrift in a sea of uncertainty. With a sense of dread gnawing at her insides, Amara approached the pedestal, her gaze fixed on the object that lay upon it. It was a mirror, its surface dark and foreboding, reflecting back the twisted visage of the chamber with an unsettling clarity. As she reached out to touch the mirror, a voice echoed in her mind, cold and mocking. "Welcome, Amara," it whispered, sending shivers down her spine. "You have come far, but your journey ends here." But Amara refused to be swayed by fear. With a steely resolve, she raised her torch high and shattered the mirror with a single, decisive blow. As the fragments scattered to the ground, the chamber was consumed by darkness, and Amara found herself standing alone in the void. But she was undeterred. With the key clutched tightly in her hand, she pushed forward, guided by nothing but her unwavering determination to break the curse and set the temple spirits free. But little did she know that the true test of her courage still lay ahead, and that the darkness that lurked within the temple's depths was far more powerful than she could ever have imagined. And as she prepared to face the horrors that awaited her, she knew that her journey was far from over, and that the fate of not only herself but the entire world rested in her hands. With each step forward, the darkness seemed to grow thicker, swallowing Amara whole as she navigated the treacherous depths of the temple. Whispers echoed in the shadows, taunting her with the futility of her quest and the inevitability of her demise. But Amara refused to give in to despair. She pressed on, driven by a flicker of hope that burned within her heart, a beacon of light in the suffocating darkness. As she reached the heart of the temple, she found herself face to face with the source of the curse, a shadowy figure wreathed in darkness and despair. It laughed mockingly, its voice a chilling echo that reverberated through the chamber. "You cannot defeat me, mortal," it sneered, its form shifting and contorting with each passing moment. "I am the darkness that consumes all who dare to defy it, the eternal torment that binds this temple to its fate." But Amara refused to back down. With a fierce determination burning in her eyes, she raised her torch high and confronted the darkness head-on. For a fleeting moment, it seemed as though victory was within her grasp. But in the blink of an eye, everything changed. With a deafening roar, the temple shook with the force of 1,000 earthquakes, sending cracks spider webbing across its ancient walls. The very ground beneath Amara's feet gave way, swallowing her whole, as she plummeted into the abyss below. And as the darkness closed in around her, Amara knew that her journey had come to an end. She had failed to break the curse, failed to set the temple spirits free from their eternal torment. But even in the face of defeat, her spirit remained unbroken. For in her final moments, she found solace in the knowledge that she had fought with all her strength, that she had given everything she had to save those trapped within the temple's cursed embrace. And as her consciousness faded into oblivion, Amara whispered a silent prayer, a final plea for forgiveness and redemption. But the temple remained unchanged, its secrets buried beneath layers of stone and shadow, its curse unbroken and its spirits condemned to wander for all eternity. And so, the ancient temple stood silent and still, a monument to the folly of those who dared to defy the darkness that lurked within its depths.